So that's all now back on. For everyone that has a Tempest after their Eazypod, I will show you what I do with the Tempest and the Eazypod. Little tip for you guys. Oh well, there you go guys, that's how you make an airlift. Well, came up with a perfect solution. Good afternoon, beautiful pond lovers. Today it's a frosty one. It's a chilly 6 degrees on the old thermometer. But yeah, it's a very cold one today. Getting things sorted though, like I said to you in the last video. But yeah, gonna get started on the little river majigger. So I've already done some bits. As you can see, the airline is currently not connected. No air in the pond. This pond, on the other hand, still has its air trickling up. So what I've done, you may remember I had the big plastic air splitter coming out of there with valves on. Well, I've swapped it for the one in the filter house, because the one in the filter house is a metal one. If I get you out of the sun, you see it better. But yeah, the downside is these brass fittings on this do not fit the Eazypod airline very well. Plus I need a new valve anyway up there for the other airline. So a quick trip to Mark at Japan Koi Imports. This pond today is down to 8 degrees, so I'm not too worried about their oxygen being off for an hour or two, although Mark does like to have a chin wag, so it might be 2 or 3. And I ain't been there in a while. I'm just racking my brain, do I need anything else? I've got all the fittings for it. I've got the airline, got all the connections and everything like that I need on the airline. I've snipped a tiny bit off the Eazypod pipe to make sure I get the right fitting for that. I've also snipped a little bit off my other airline for the other one. But yeah, so I'm going to nip off to Mark's and grab what I need. So I'm back, but we are fast losing the light. I don't know if you can see, but the sun has now gone over the houses, so it's going to get rather dark rather quick. But what have I got? The last few bits I need, basically. Didn't really need that, just wanted it to try and neaten up that pipe a bit. But yeah, I will get the air back on at least for the night, because as we all know, when the sun goes down, oxygen in the water goes lower. So not that being at sort of 7 or 8 degrees is going to be too bad, but either way I'll get it back on. So yeah, just put a little bit of PFE tape on it. Probably doesn't need it, but I've done it to all the other ones, so why not? This one's for the Eazypod, so let's get this on. So we're just screwing that in there. I'm going to need 2 hands actually, I think, for this, guys, but I'm pretty sure you all know how to screw a thread, and I've got my spanner just to tighten it up on the last hurdle. Right, that's now on, all tightened up, but as you can see, that pipe is too loose on there, and as you can see, that one is bigger than that one. So I'm going to get that up on the air pump, and we'll get the electrics all put away for the night, I think. So that's all now back on. I've also clipped in the other 90 I bought for the Eazypod line. I may buy another one because it still doesn't sit very nicely the way it is at the minute, but as said before, I want to keep this long line that's currently going up and round, because I use that for other things. So yeah, just buy some other fittings I think for that, and just try and hide the air pipe a bit better down that side. But that's all good. What's the cat toilet saying today? It's saying I have a pH of 1, which obviously isn't true, otherwise the fish would be flying out the water. But I need to recalibrate that, but everything else looks good, so I'm happy. Yeah, I haven't actually recalibrated the pH, I think, since I got that, and I've had it for about a year now. But love it. Anyway, yeah, everything's looking good. I need to put the cover back on the electrics, and then I'll get the Upflow Airlift done on my next day off. I'm just gonna test all the air, make sure that it's all working. I'm just topping up the pond through the 3-stage dechlorinator. It's going through there. Garden clippers, by the way, are great for cutting airlines. But that's just filling up the trough and it will start trickling over the edge right now. And there was a helicopter seed on the edge of that. How that got in there, I don't know. But before it sinks, because a grated bottom drain will not take away one of them. But yeah, as you can see today, look, none of them are up asking for food, apart from him, but he's up all the time. Oh, and there was a leaf in there as well. I will have to keep my eye on that. But yeah, so I'm going to let that top up, and the reason I'm going to let that top up is I just want to check the airline for the Eazypod as well, make sure that that's all still working. But we'll turn it on and we'll see if any bubbles come up in the pond, which is this line. Turn that line off, don't need that anymore. Turn that line on and turn pump on. Well, making a noise. Are we going to get any air? Yep, there we go. That's up a bit high, so we will turn that back down just so they've got a bit of oxygen trickling in. But yeah, I'm going to let this top up. I always let it top up before I do a filter clean, so I'll snap back to you in a second. These guys, they have had a feed this morning, but these guys are saying feed me, feed me, feed me, so I'll give them a tiny little handful. I'm not even going to bother using the cup. Tiny little handful. That's it, that's all you get him. Even Mark at JKI said it's his fish are eating a lot less. And for the first time ever, I gave him a hand and we went round and fed all the fish, which is why I took so long and why it's getting dark. But sorry I didn't manage to film it. But yeah, we got chatting as always, and feeding a good few thousand fish is a lot different to feeding a pond of this size. It's like 2 cups in that pond, 3 cups in that pond, 1 cup in that pond, and these cups were a lot bigger than mine. But yeah, I've the other things I've come away with, obviously I had the EA pipe 90, the hose tail connector for the EA pipe. I've got some EA pipe clips to clip the pipe in better places. Where I'm going to fit them I'm not too sure, but I'll make the pipe look a bit neater than what it is at some point. I still need to tidy up everything behind there anyway. And then I've come away, whether I use it or not, or whether I need it or not, I don't know. But yeah, get this, a 3-inch rubber boot and the 3-inch adapter to make the rubber boot fit that bit of 3-inch pipe down there was cheaper than just a 3-inch end cap. I mean, Mark's really reasonable with his prices anyway, but a 3-inch end cap was like $16.99 I think, for black waste, because it's an unusual fitting apparently, whereas I think the rubber was like 6-7 quid, and the end cap was like, or that bit, like $1.99, $2.99, something like that. So it's like, yeah, bugger it, we'll do it that way. Plus that way, if I change my mind about it, I don't have to cut it off, I can just unscrew it and take it off, so bonus. So as you can see, the pod is starting to fill up. It's almost coming over the weir, which is good, just where I want it for cleaning, but there's still another inch or so in there that it can come up. So let's do a quick clean. So first job, I turn off the shower. Second job, I turn off the pump. Third job, I close the return one-handedly, and then one-handedly we close the bottom drain, and by doing that, look, it's just at the perfect level for cleaning, and that's what I do. We then don't forget the cleaning pipe, which I think in my last video that I cleaned this, we did. So we stick the pipe in there a good one, and now we open this new valve and we get bubbling, and because I've opened this new valve, bubbles in there disappear. So what I'm going to do is what I always do, whack the pump up full power. Still probably won't get any bubbles in the pond, we'll see, and leave that bubbling away for a good 10 minutes. Cleaning the good one out, look at the state of that, and they're hardly getting any food at the minute, I know. But yeah, for everyone that has a Tempest after their Eazypod, when this drains down, or when I start emptying it, I will show you what I do with the Tempest and the Eazypod, because it saves me a lot of time and a lot of mucking about with hose pipe. So I'll snap back to you when this is finished bubbling. Right, it's been about 7 minutes, so I'm not going to wait any longer, because as I say, the light is disappearing fast. I've put my waistline into the drain, and now I am going to get this all drained down. So open up the waistline, and in a second I'll show you the little tip you can do with a Tempest. I'm not sure that's in fully for this all to work, but it's been working for me, an absolute treat for the last 6 months. After sort of playing around with it, practicing and seeing the best way to do things. Right, I'll snap back to you when it's all drained down. Right, this bit's going to be a bit noisy, I'm afraid, because what I always do is I leave the air on at this particular moment in time. But as you can see, it's all now fully drained down, you can see there. But you can also see that the bottom of the Eazypod is an absolute mess. And they always are, because the drain line is about a centimetre or two off the bottom. So it leaves that little bit of water in there, and that obviously then in return leaves a bit of muck in there, and quite a lot, as you can see. So what do? All I basically do, leaving all the pumps off, all the other valves still closed and the waistline still open, is I backflush the Tempest just by cranking open this valve. That then flows over the top to start off with and washes all the muck that was sitting in the top trays off. Halfway through it draining, I quickly wiggle that off. That then in turn rinses out the bottom, kicks all the muck back up, and give it a minute. When it stops back flushing, you'll see the difference. It's just slowing down now, so it's going to start draining down again. There it goes. Now, there's still muck on the bottom, granted, there always will be, but at least you can see the bottom now. Hell of a lot better. So rather than boiling it up 2 or 3 times, I just do that every time, and that shifts an awful lot of the muck, as you can see, off the bottom. So a good little tip if you've got a Tempest above your Eazypod. So then I'll turn the air down on the various switch already, so we close the Tempest. That'll put air then back to the pond. And I've done this before. Close this valve first. The amount of times I've gone, oh, that pond's dropped more than it usually does. There you go, air's back on the pond. I might crank that down a bit, that's a bit high. So first one we open is the old bottom drain. That then fills up my Eazypod. I then whack in my sculptured layers 3D printed majigger. That stops all the floating crud in the middle going down the bottom drain, or going back into the pond, should I say. I then open, in fact no, I leave that open from the back flushing and turn pump back on to see how low the pond is going to go before opening up the other drain, because as you can see, it does certainly make a difference doing a clean in this pond. We've gone down, what, 4 inches so far, and the pipes are still filling up. It's normally about 5 inches from a Eazypod clean and a Tempest back flush, but I do alternate days. I do this every other day and that on the day in between the other day, but when I do this, that does get a back flush as well. But that then forces bucket loads of water through the shower, gives that a good rinse. And if I'm happy that there's plenty of water in the middle of there, which there is, we open up that line and I just keep my eye on that for a second. No, we're good today, ain't lost too much. And voila, let me just quickly turn that air down a tad. That do. Lovely little trickle. That was me knocking over the cleaning pipe because it belongs down there, because this doesn't have a filter house. Voila! Oh, yeah, take spanner in. A snap of the fingers for you. We'll be cracking on getting that fitted in there somewhere. Snap back in a bizzle. So it's the next day. It's an absolute glorious day, a bit warmer today. I think we're about 8-9 degrees in the garden. So as you can see, the sun is beaming behind me. We've got a fair bit of time because the sun's over here still, and it won't get dark till it gets behind those houses over there. So I've got my adapter. What I need to do, because these heavy duty ones, they don't come with a 4mm hosey majigger, I'm going to use that to go into a bit of that, and then that can then reduce down to 4mm from that line. But to make my life easy, I'm just literally going to cut that, put that in that one, and then stick that bit on that one. Snap back to you in a second. And just like that, voila. So that's all now ready to go. That is in as far as it goes. There's just a little cap joining. The air's still simmering away in there. So we're all still working good so far. I have managed to neaten up the old Eazypod. All I did is cut this bit a bit shorter and then send the pipe down the back. But I've got some pipe clips. What I might do is shorten it a bit more and clip it along the shelf here, rather than have it all dangling down there with the rest of the cables. Next job, I need to move the guttering back out of the way so I can drill my holes where I need to drill my holes and get everything all sorted. But I've got the cap toily over the guttering and all the rest of the bits under it, so give me a minute and I'll get that done. So that's out, and that was a bit of a palaver. I accidentally dropped the moss and mind your own business in the pond, so they're a bit spooked at the minute because I just had the net in there trying to fish it out. But anyway, fin airline's now on. Way too much airline, but I decided, rather than reusing some of the old stuff I had on the blue vat, to buy a brand new one, because this stuff does go a little bit brittle and stuff over time. Just trying to work out the best place now to drill it through there. I don't know whether the best is to come in from that corner and trail it along the inside down to this corner, or whether to trail it along the outside and go in from this corner. I might go from that corner, methinks, and go through the wood rather than through the plastic. Yeah, get the drill. So I've put the whole airline through for the minute, and it's now coming through the wood in that corner, so that's great. I have got some 90s and stuff for this hose if I need it, if it doesn't sit right. But yeah, so that's all through there. Why have I put that much through? You may be asking. Well, I don't know how low I need the air stone at this moment in time, so I thought chuck the whole lot through and I can work that out later. Step over it. So we're looking good. I better test, make sure the well, the line should work, shouldn't it? It worked when the air was coming through the pond earlier, but turn that on. That air's gone down, so hopefully we've got some air coming out of here, which we do. That's good. A bit more moss, get rid of that. Yeah, lovely jubbly. Okay, so I'm just starting to put this together. Little tip for you guys: when trying to attach rubber boot to black waste, loads of people will have noticed that it's very, very loose in there. Now you can tighten these up enough to give it a seal, but because of how much, I mean, look at the gap there. Because of how much you are cranking that down, it goes all wrinkly and crinkly, and then your rubbers don't last too long. So what do you do to solve that problem? You get these little £2 collars basically, and they fit onto there, and that is actually the adapter to change that to pressure pipe fitting size. But these are obviously designed to go over pressure pipes, which means that now is a real nice snug fit, and I can't even push it in. That's, yeah, real nice snug fit now. I ain't done it up or pushed it all the way in, but you can see what I mean. And for a couple of quid, it's worth doing, because it means your rubber boot will last 10 times longer, be a really nice snug and tight fit. Plus that added strength on your black waste means you can crank the tightness down on the thing a bit more, because it gives the black pipe a bit more strength. So I'm going to get that end glued on. I am going to glue the other end onto the bottom that I picked up the other day, just in case I decide to. My thinking was, if it doesn't draw enough water up through the pipe as it is, then I might shed loads of holes in it and put an end cap on and see if that does any better. Let's give it a go, get it together, and I'll show you what it looks like. Right, so I've just glued them up and they're now drying. Got that one, got a straight adapter on the end of that one, the 1.5 inch pipe, just so it fits in the rubber boot better, same as like the caps there. So once that's dry, we'll put it on the boot and take it over to the pond, work out how we're going to fit it and where I need the other bits, what angles to have them coming out of there. Just a little tip, guys, not that I know exactly what I'm doing, but when screwing the cap down, just make sure that the pipe work is just after the sloped part of the rubber boot. Just because when I first tightened it up, I noticed this was sticking out there, which means obviously you got air coming up here. You're going to end up with a ring of air around there, and you don't obviously, probably won't help the situation. So if you make sure that this bit of pipe is set just further back than that lip, then all the air is going to go up where you want it to. Right, so far that's all glued and screwed up to that point, and the top's going to stay open. That's where I'm going to drop the air line down rather than drilling a hole in the pipe. Plus it's got somewhere then for the oxygen to escape that way, and hopefully the water come that way. That's the kind of design I had on the blue vat, and it worked. I have got other fittings. I've got another 90 to go on there, and another one on the box there, with a little bit of pipe kicking about somewhere, and that's to hopefully connect it and get it to drip perfectly into the bit of guttering. So next job, pop it in the pond and see if we can attach it anywhere. But before I do see if I can attach it anywhere, I might double check and see if any water comes out the top first. Right, so the airline's now going through the top and currently sat out the bottom. Yes, it's still way too long at the minute, but as I say, I need to know how much I need before chopping it off. But I've got 3 air stones that I'm going to try and see which one works the best, if any. Again, they're just old air stones off the old blue vat, so I will get one of them connected, pop it in the pond and see what happens. Alright, so I'm starting off with the biggest air hose. Obviously a bit of hot water on the end of the pipe to squeeze it on. That ain't going to fall off anytime soon, that's for sure. And now get some air coming through it. So I've turned the air up in there for a minute, so we get a lot more air coming through that. I can hear that hissing away. Let's get it in the pond. Right guys, moment of truth, in we go. It's going to want to sit. Oh, flipping heck. I think that's a bit too much air. Look at that. That's way too much air. I'm going to have to turn that down. I don't want that much water flowing through it. I mean, that's got to go down yet. It's got to sit about, probably about that high. Oh well, there you go guys, that's how you make an airlift. Look at that! I'm well chuffed with that, and it's not even coming out the top either, but yeah, I'll turn the air down a little bit. So I'll put the back down to a small fizz. Let's get it back in one-handedly, carefully, and see if we still get some water. If not, I can play around with the adjustments once I've set it all up, but oh, look at that. And that's still higher than it needs to be, right there. Oh, this is going to work beautifully. Beautifully. Alright, guttering's now back in place. One last job to try and work, well, one and a little job to try and work out. I've got to work out how I'm going to keep that like that in that corner. So I'll work that out in a minute off camera and then show you what I'm doing and how I've done it. And secondly, I then just need to cut the excess line and put the stone back on in the right place. Now I was worried that the little fishies and stuff might try and scoot up that pipe, but if I show you this, basically that stone is going to be sat like that, and that blocks pretty much most of the gap. And then obviously there ain't no way, even if they do manage to somehow squeeze past that stone, there ain't no way they're getting through that 1.5 inch pipe and out the other end, is it? So I'm quite happy with that, and if I do ever find a fish in there for whatever reason, then I can always put a bit of mesh over the end. But I'm going to leave the end cap off for now because that's working an absolute treat. So yeah, I'm going to work out how I'm going to somehow clip it here to go in there. Well, came up with a perfect solution. That is the old Tempest bracket that I never needed and used on the old Tempest, and I tell you what, it fits and works an absolute banger. So Tempest brackets are designed for 1.5 pipe, which is what this is. It's a push clip, so I can just literally push the pipe in, and then it's got the end cap to go on to stop the pipe ever falling off. And yeah, let's give it a try. This is going to be difficult one-handed without losing the wire and everything. I'm trying to film it, so I'm going to clip it up high to start off with because I don't want any water coming out right this second. Sit, and then look at that, as long as it doesn't blow my moss all the way around yet, because I put the pops back in yet. In fact, give me a second, I'm going to stop that happening. And voila, there we have it. So I've been tweaking the air to try and get them both right. Obviously there's valves and everything on each one. So that's now trickling through there a good one. The Mind Your Own Business and moss mixture is now stopped by the pot of Mind Your Own Business. And the water is flowing around the back of the guttering, all the way around, 90 degree, and coming out there. Now I was thinking, and I did mention in a previous video, that I'll put glue something there to raise the water level, but because this is sat on them two bits of polycarbonate type stuff, you know, bathroom panels, obviously this end is a fair bit higher than this end. So it's not the plant pot that's stopping the flow and keeping it up this high, this end. It's just the fact that it's higher, because it's actually still a good inch and a bit deep there. And then it just gets shallower and shallower as it goes down that end, which is probably ideal for what I want, to be honest. And obviously if too much water ever comes out of this, I've not put a clip on it yet to stop it falling off. But yeah, I am really chuffed with this. Really chuffed, and the flow I'm getting, I mean, as I say, I could whack it up so much that I doubt it would overflow actually, because the return is obviously lower than the top end of the gutter in here. Let me turn it up full speed just for a minute, just to see what kind of flow we could get out of there. Let me twist that so it doesn't fly away. Let's have a look. Probably see it better from this angle anyway. So getting that out of there, in fact let's turn the pond air off a second, that will automatically give us a bit more. Yeah, that's a lot more. And then crank the air up. Oh, it's starting to come out the top now, we don't really want that. Oh, me pot moved. Yeah, that's starting to overflow, so we definitely don't want it that high. Let's turn it back down. About there, and then the pond valve open as well. Get some air into the pond. Yeah, lovely jubbly. Do I need the 90 on it? Yeah, probably stop splashing and whatnot. But yeah, look at the flow coming out of there. Brilliant. So the airline's now been cut to size, hopefully. Hopefully I've measured it right. If not, that should be long enough to start again. But right, doing everything one-handed whilst trying to film, not easy. Right. earth is he doing? But hopefully this will be one of the last days of tinkering other than the roof. The air is not on currently at the minute. I do need to check now to see if the air stays at the right place there, and I need 2 hands to do that. Bear with me. Temporary solution, closed peg to hold it in place until I tack it and hold it with something so it don't fall down, because there's a bit of slack at the minute, so I can, you know, tack it down. So yeah, that's now in place. Let me put the flower pots back in and get everything all ready, and then we'll see the very final product. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to start off with to see how it works. I've got 4 strawberry plants, and then 2 pots of mind your own business, and then what I've done, the bit of mind your own business that was just floating in there, obviously it's a lot more powerful than I was ever hoping for, because that's raised out of the water what? A good 1, 2, 3, or maybe 6 inches. That's 6 inches out of the water. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to leave that peg on it for now, just so we don't lose anything. And for the last time, we will open up the valve. There comes the water. Hopefully the flower pots don't block the flow too much. That bonsai pot may well do. A little bit. I might close the valve just a tad. It's not overflowing, but the air stopped coming out of the pond. So if I just tweak that a tad, here we go. There's a fizz. Perfect. Now we're still getting enough flow through there. And that slowed right down, but let's look at the flow at the back, because I really want it to be nice and slow. Yeah, that's not too bad. So yeah, with a bit of tweaking and a bit of fiddling with all the valves and the vary switch on the old air pump, I think I've got it set pretty darn perfectly. And as you can see, the light's just gone behind the building now, so it's going to start getting dark quick. So let me spin you around. There is still some light, and show you what it looks like. So the flow coming out of there is absolutely perfect. I've put that bonsai pot on a little bit of slate, one of the bits that was sat down there, just to raise it off the bottom to make sure that the flow can get round nicely. And you can see the flow coming down there, and that's what it ends like. So we will see in the spring if it works, because I've got 4 strawberry plants that are all planted in there. If they grow and give me some strawberries, that would be fan-dabby-dozy. The mind your own business I know is going to thrive in here, so if the Bakki shower one, if we get really cold, that might die off again like it did last year. But I got some replacements sat in here, and then I've got plenty of room for loads more pots. Now we'll see if these pots work well. If not, then what I'll do is get some little pond baskets so the water can flow through it better rather than just underneath it a bit. But the pond's started to clear up a bit from the spillage that I had earlier. You can still see a bit of moss down there on the old grate, but I'm sure the koi will knock it through at some point. But yeah, they're getting quite big now. I mean, that grate is 32 centimetres wide, and there's certainly a few koi in there that's longer than that grate, especially him. He's way longer than that grate. But yeah, so I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, but it's certainly a cheap and easy way to build a little, and I've been told in my last video when I mentioned this, it's aquaponics, not hydroponics. Hydroponics are when you're just using chemicals and clean water to grow fruit and veg, and aquaponics is when you're using natural water from ponds and that kind of thing. So a cheap and easy way to build a little aquaponics system bit of guttering, that probably cost me around 25 quid for all of that. It's the junctions that cost the most. The bit of guttering was 13 quid for the long length, and then it's like 4 or 5 quid for all the bloody junctions and whatnot. But them aside, then a bit of pipe work, that wasn't expensive, less than 20 quid for all the pipe work, and then everything else I had lying around on an airline and little bits and bobs for that. Yeah, so probably just less than 50 quid, and I've built that. And I say I may need some pond baskets rather than just bottom feeding baskets. We'll see come the spring. If all them strawberry plants die, then we'll try again with pond baskets. But I've read up, strawberries do well in aquaponics, so we will see. So I'm happy with it. Let me know your thoughts. Frog in the throat. Water's flowing out of there, an absolute good one. Yeah, just absolutely over the moon. Was not expecting it to work as good as it is. And if it does get a bit protein in there, and protein starts coming out of the top of this pipe for whatever reason, then what I could always do, because I didn't use one of the 90s, could put a 90 on there and send it somewhere. Who knows? But we'll see if it ever needs it. But I am chuffed to bits with how it's all turned out. Anyway, thanks all for watching. Boop. Like the video if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next one.